footage capturing the takeoff moment of a flight, an unforgettable image in the life of any pilot.
However, for Jessica Dubroff, the ambitious 7-year-old girl, this cross-country flight turned into a tragic disaster. The passion for conquering the sky and the dream of becoming the world's youngest pilot drove her to undertake this challenging journey.
Yet, no one expected that cruel fate would take Jessica's life right during the flight that she had always longed for. So what happened on that fateful journey? What emotions did Jessica experience in her final moments?
Today, let's join Khánh in uncovering the mystery of the story about the fateful flight and the tragedy of child pilot Jessica Dubroff. But before getting into the main content, please leave a like, subscribe to Khánh Hà TV channel, and turn on the notifications
so you don't miss exciting stories from us. Thank you for all your support. Jessica Whitney Dubroff was born on May 5, 1998. Her parents are Lloyd Dubroff and Lisa Blair Hathaway. Both of Jessica's parents are Ukrainian, but they spent most of their lives in Framingham, Massachusetts.
When Jessica was 4 years old, the family moved to the San Francisco Bay Area, a city famous for cultural diversity and a popular tourist destination.
In Jessica's life, her mother, Lisa Hathaway, played a crucial role. She considered herself a spiritual healer. Perhaps because of this, she did not believe in Western medicine, traditional schools, children's books, or even toys. These beliefs caused Jessica to grow up very differently from her peers. It can be said that Lisa's unique lifestyle meant Jessica had no toys, no TV, and no schooling. Many who heard this story thought Lisa's parenting was terrible, and according to some sources, Lisa relied on assistance from a local food store. Clearly, Jessica did not have a normal childhood like other children.
Another piece of information about Jessica's family is that her parents divorced after moving to California. However, even though they no longer lived together, Lloyd Dubroff, Jessica's father, still lived near the mother and daughter. Without toys or TV, Jessica spent most of her time horseback riding and delivering newspapers.
Despite the difficult life, the money earned from delivering newspapers, Jessica did not
keep for herself but went to the post office several times a week to send to children in South America.
This action showed that even at just 7 years old, Jessica was a kind-hearted girl who cared about others. Hathaway sought an ideal New Age lifestyle for her 3 children and moved to Pescadero, a small town with dilapidated warehouses and tiny shops near Half Moon Bay. In that small Bay Area town, Jessica never enrolled in school and never watched TV. Her bedroom overlooked a field of grazing cows. But despite the simple lifestyle in harmony with nature, her parents had great ambitions for Jessica. They wanted her to set a world record by flying across the country. Surprisingly, not only her mother but also Jessica's father, Lloyd, was extremely ambitious.
Previously, Lloyd had studied engineering at Florida State University but did not graduate.
He was a tall man, about 6 feet 4 inches, and always dreamed of becoming a pilot. However, his height was a major obstacle, and his pilot dream shattered when he was rejected from the Air Force for being too tall. Not only an unfinished dream, aside from giving up his pilot dream due to height,
Lloyd was also frequently involved in lawsuits related to taxes and car repairs.
Everything started on Jessica's 6th birthday. While friends her age received toys from parents, spent time playing with their children, as well as held parties and enrolled in extracurricular classes, Jessica's birthday was completely different. Her father, Lloyd, did not throw a party or give gifts but instead suggested Jessica learn to fly a plane with a man named Joe Reed. Joe Reed taught flying at Half Moon Bay Airport. Joe Reed was a brave Vietnam War veteran and a member of the Knights of Columbus.
Although he had little experience teaching children to fly, he was happy to take a smart little Jessica into the sky
and teach her how to control everything in the cockpit. Jessica also showed great enthusiasm for flying.
She was very excited and eager to learn to fly with Reed.
Not stopping at basic lessons, soon after Lloyd convinced Jessica to fly from the East Coast to the West Coast of the US.
A long and challenging journey.
But at the same time, this would make her the youngest pilot to ever undertake such a flight. This made Jessica even more excited because she wanted to break the world record. A year later, in 1996, when Jessica turned 7, to realize her daughter's dream and her own. Her parents asked if she wanted to fly cross-country and visit her grandfather for her 8th birthday. Jessica immediately agreed. Her father, Lloyd, along with instructor Joe Ray, would accompany her on this daring journey. Sea to shining sea. It would help Jessica become the youngest pilot to fly across America. Custom souvenir hats were made for the trip to give to friends, who were very excited about the event. The plan was for Jessica to fly a small plane from Half Moon Bay to Massachusetts and back, making her the youngest pilot in the sky. However, from the moment it was announced, the trip sparked much controversy. Many people raised doubts about the trip, but perhaps one of them attracted more attention than others. It was the statement from the landlord Lloyd, who had evicted him from the house earlier that year. "I Dawn." This insinuating remark somewhat revealed Lloyd's financial situation. This meant Lloyd was facing financial difficulties at the time and seemed to have bet everything on his daughter, believing that breaking the world record would bring them a lot of money. Additionally, when Lloyd Dubroff faxed the Guinness Book of World Records weeks before the flight, hoping his daughter's achievement would be officially recognized, he was informed that the publication had stopped certifying the youngest pilot record several years prior to discourage unsafe flights. A Guinness representative told reporters on the day of the first flight that they would include Jessica in the company's museum if she actually succeeded. On April 10, 1996, Jessica began her cross-country flight journey, determined to break the record. Because Jessica was young, Ray had to accompany her as a co-pilot.
The plane they used was a Cessna 177B Cardinal, a 4-seat, single-engine aircraft manufactured in 1975, equipped with dual flight controls.
Jessica sat in the left front seat, while Joe Ray and Lloyd sat in the back.
The plane had 2 sets of controls, but the plan was for Ray to only take over in emergencies.
Both parties agreed that Ray would be paid at the standard flight instruction rate, plus compensation for layover time. Although considered a pilot by the media, Jessica's age technically and legally did not qualify her. She had no medical certificate or student pilot certificate, as these are only for those over 16 according to FAA regulations. Mean Jessica wasn't. The Cessna 177B Cardinal was equipped with a red booster seat so Jessica could see out the window, along with pedal extensions so her feet could reach. And it didn't take long for Jessica to become the center of public attention. Many people were interested in her flight.
Of course, alongside words of support and encouragement, there were also many opposing opinions.
But they couldn't do anything to stop the trip.
The journey was expected to last a week, flying around America.
From the moment it was announced, Jessica attracted media attention. And at each stop, people flocked to welcome her. Jessica flew from dawn, completing the first leg of the journey at Sky Harbor Airport in Wyoming.
That evening, the group rested in Cheyenne, the capital of Wyoming, and were welcomed by Mayor Leo Pondo.
After some media interviews, they were taken to a hotel to rest and prepare for the next leg. On the way, they heard that the weather forecast was worsening.
The weather at the time was beautiful, sunny, and favorable for flying, but was quickly turning bad. Concerned for Jessica's safety, the Sky Harbor Airport director advised them to stay in Cheyenne
to wait for more stable weather, but Lloyd insisted that his daughter fly before the storm hit, perhaps fearing that delaying the flight would affect the plan to break the record. Finally, despite the weather warnings,
they decided to take off.
Or in other words, they ignored the risks that the weather could cause. Just before leaving, while everyone was worried about the weather, Jessica spoke on the phone with her mother.
During the conversation, perhaps too excited about the flight, the little girl expressed a desire to depart quickly.
"I had to go now, Mom, it's about to rain." And then, what everyone feared happened. While they were flying, the rain grew heavier, visibility obscured by dark clouds.
Resulting in limited visibility, the plane shook violently and the crew could not effectively control the situation. Visibility of the airport dropped sharply, forcing Ray to leave the airport's control area.
It was around 8:24 in the morning. According to witnesses, the plane took off and climbed sluggishly. The wings shook violently, as if struggling against the wind and rain.
Upon reaching an altitude of several hundred meters, the plane suddenly flipped and plunged downward.
The plane then crashed to the ground at Koinui Court. It narrowly missed a house where 2 women were inside. These 2 women later shared with the media that they were lucky to be alive.
A stroke of luck in the midst of tragedy. But for Jessica, Lloyd, and Joe Ray, luck did not smile. All 3 died on the spot.
And then the last words Jessica was recorded by air traffic control. A haunting statement. "Can you hear the sound of the rain?"
A premonition of something ominous.
Ray was thrown from the plane while still wearing his seatbelt. Lloyd lay on his side,
arms wrapped around Jessica as if trying to protect his daughter until the last moment.
What should have been a record-breaking event remembered in history became a tragedy. Jessica was unable to fulfill her dream. It broke no records but ended with the heartbreaking departure of a 7-year-old child. A tragic ending for Jessica, for Lloyd, and for Joe as well. After the news spread, mourners gathered at the crash site, which was covered with tarps, flowers, stuffed toys, and Bible verses left among the wreckage. Cheyenne Mayor Leo Pondo immediately broke down in tears at a press conference that morning, saying Jessica reminded him of his own daughter, who died in a flood 11 years earlier. S. mother, Jessica. Mrs. Hathaway insisted she was right. According to her, before the tragedy, everyone supported Jessica, so how could attitudes change so quickly?
She also affirmed she was always proud of what the little girl had achieved,
and pleaded for people to let children fly if they want to fly. She said she was heartbroken by her child's death. But she also believed Jessica left with her joy and passion, and her life was in her own hands.
Following this heartbreaking incident, public opinion surged. This tragic accident attracted much attention,
forcing the National Transportation Safety Board to investigate, and it took 11 months for the final report to be released.
Accordingly, the pilot in command at the time of the accident was Joe Ray.
When it began to rain, perhaps sensing danger, Ray took control of the plane. This was unsurprising, as in turbulence, letting the more knowledgeable and experienced person fly is appropriate. Some experienced pilots also spoke up, stating the accident was due to sudden weather changes.
According to them, the weather conditions were very difficult to control and quickly affected the plane.
They even asserted they would never take off in such weather conditions.
This shows the danger level of the flight Jessica and Lloyd participated in.
After thorough investigation, the Transportation Safety Board emphasized the main cause was storms, wind, and rain. They also stated the plane was overloaded, another factor showing Lloyd's inadequate and unprofessional preparation. Finally, the report concluded Joe Ray may be the primary cause due to the mistaken decision to take off in bad weather. However, many believe Lloyd, who pressured Joe to take off, is the one responsible for this tragedy. This conclusion certainly cannot bring them back, but it's a lesson showing we should not attempt to break such records, because it's too reckless, dangerous, and not worth risking lives, especially a child's life. Many agree with this view, including the government.
Therefore, just 7 days after the accident, the federal government enacted a law to prevent similar record-breaking attempts,
to ensure flight safety and avoid such tragedies recurring.
This law prohibits those without both a private pilot certificate and valid medical certification from piloting aircraft while attempting to set records, participate in aviation competitions, or achieve some accomplishment in this field.
This is considered a necessary measure to ensure flight safety, especially when children are involved. Finally, Jessica was laid to rest at Mount Hope Cemetery in California, where she rests eternally, closing her unfinished dream. Child psychologists believe that no 7-year-old child has the skills and awareness to truly understand the grand endeavor Jessica's parents were trying to accomplish. They say that all ambition, motivation to achieve glory and a place in the record books could not have originated from the girl herself. It's true that she showed great interest in flying, but a child. The story of Jessica Dubroff ended in tragedy, but left profound lessons about aviation safety and the responsibility of adults in protecting children. Her story is also a wake-up call for parents too engrossed in pursuing ambitions while forgetting the most important thing, the safety and happiness of their children. Hopefully, through this story, we will further cherish the value of life and be more cautious when pursuing ambitious dreams. And you, what do you think about this tragedy? Please leave a comment below. We look forward to hearing your thoughts. Don't hesitate to share it with more people and Dawn.
If the veil stirred, subscribe and meet the next encounter.